The galaxy watched in silence. The broadcast had reached every major system, every species, every planet. It was meant to be a message, a show of power. Instead, it became something else, a mistake. The screen showed a dark metal platform, surrounded by towering alien figures. The Dominion's High Commander stood in front of the cameras, his voice cold and sharp. Behind him, bound in heavy chains, was a child, a human girl, no older than 10. Her clothes were torn, her face bruised, but her eyes were defiant. She wasn't crying. She wasn't begging. She just stared. The High Commander turned to the cameras, addressing the galaxy. His voice carried through thousands of star systems. This is what happens to those who defy the Dominion. The galaxy had seen executions before. It was nothing new. The Dominion had ruled through fear and power for centuries. They had crushed rebellions, burned entire planets, and wiped out civilizations. To them, this was just another display of dominance. But they didn't understand humans. Not yet. The executioner stepped forward, a towering armored figure. In his hand, a plasma blade ignited, glowing red. The child still didn't look away. The High Commander smirked. Let this be a lesson. The blade came down, and the universe changed. Earth watched, and Earth remembered. On Earth, the broadcast reached every screen, every home, every city. At first, there was shock. People refused to believe it was real. Then, there was horror, and finally, rage. The leaders of Earth did not argue, did not debate, did not hesitate. The Dominion had crossed a line. Within hours, the entire planet mobilized. Every fleet prepared for war. Every soldier readied their weapons. Every scientist, strategist, and engineer worked without rest. They didn't send threats. They didn't demand justice. They simply sent one message to the Dominion. You have made a mistake. And then humanity struck. The Dominion had faced many enemies before. They had crushed rebellions, silenced protests, and wiped out entire civilizations without hesitation. They ruled through fear, and fear had always been enough. Until now. Until they killed a human child. They expected Earth to protest, to send ambassadors, to plead for peace. Instead, they got silence. Then they got war. The first strike. It began without warning. Deep in Dominion space, the massive battle station Korthos floated above a conquered world. A fortress, believed to be impenetrable. One moment, everything was normal. The next, the lights flickered. Weapons shut down. Shields collapsed. Communications went silent. And then the first explosion tore through the station. Alarms blared as human dropships burst through the debris, their hulls reinforced with experimental shielding. Elite Dominion guards rushed to respond, but they were too slow. Human soldiers moved like ghosts, their weapons precise, their tactics unstoppable. Every shot hit. Every strike counted. By the time the Dominion forces understood what was happening, it was already over. The great battle station Korthos, the pride of the Dominion fleet, was now a burning graveyard, and that was only the beginning. The galaxy watches in fear. The attack should have been impossible. The Dominion was the strongest power in the galaxy. Their fleets were huge, their armies unmatched. But Earth didn't fight like other species. They didn't just send ships and soldiers. They sent fear. Dominion commanders began receiving reports of systems shutting down, of fleets turning against each other, of entire planets falling silent. It was cyber warfare, sabotage, infiltration. It was psychological warfare. The Dominion had ruled through fear for centuries. But now, for the first time, they were the ones afraid. No surrender, no mercy. The High Commander of the Dominion laughed at first. It's a tantrum, he said. Let them rage. They will learn their place. But then the reports kept coming. Entire Dominion fleets, gone. Key supply worlds, burning. Communications hubs, erased. He stopped laughing. The Dominion demanded negotiations. Humanity never responded. Because this wasn't a war for land. It wasn't a battle for power. This was punishment. A storm had begun, and nothing could stop it now. The Dominion had fought many wars. They had conquered hundreds of species, crushed rebellions, and burned entire worlds. They believed themselves invincible. But they had never faced humanity. And now, they were losing. The Dominion's counterattack. Desperate to regain control, the Dominion launched a full-scale assault on Earth. A fleet of 500 warships, the largest force ever assembled, left Dominion space, heading straight for the Sol system. They expected a fight. They expected resistance. But they never expected what was waiting for them. The moment they entered the outer edges of the system, their sensors went blind. No signals, no enemy ships, no response. Then the first ship vanished. 1 second, it was there. The next, nothing remained. Then another, and another. Panic spread through the fleet. They fired wildly into the darkness, hoping to hit something. Then the real attack began. Invisible to Dominion sensors, humanity's stealth ships weaved through their formation, striking with pinpoint accuracy. Missiles tore through hulls. Railguns punched through shields. AI-driven drones swarmed their warships, jamming their weapons, cutting through their defenses. In less than 10 minutes, half the Dominion fleet was gone. The survivors tried to retreat. Humanity didn't let them. By the time the battle ended, not a single Dominion ship survived. The greatest fleet in Dominion history had been erased, and Earth had suffered 0 losses. A message from Earth. Across the galaxy, species that had once feared the Dominion watched in shock. No one had ever done this before. No one had ever fought back this hard. Then Earth sent a single message to every Dominion world, every fleet, every leader. It was not a negotiation. It was not a warning. It was a promise. You started this. We will finish it. And with that, humanity's fleets moved forward. The war they never wanted was now a war they would end. The Dominion had ruled for centuries. They had crushed rebellions, enslaved entire species, and wiped out planets without mercy. They thought they were untouchable. Now, they were running. The fall of tyranny. Humanity's fleets did not stop. One by one, Dominion worlds fell. The first was Vorthal 9, a key military outpost. Dominion commanders expected an invasion, troops landing, long battles, ground warfare. Instead, they got silence. Every ship in orbit shut down at once. Their weapons refused to fire. Their shields failed. Their own security systems locked them inside their bases. And then the orbital bombardment began. Precision strikes, no civilians, no unnecessary destruction. But every Dominion war facility, every military command center, every stronghold, was turned to ash. Vorthal 9 was no longer a military world. It was a graveyard. The same happened on Droxus, Velnar, Krythos 4. No mercy, no surrender, no escape. The Dominion had given humanity no mercy, and now they received none. The galaxy watches in fear. Across the stars, species that had once lived in terror of the Dominion now watched with hope and fear. Hope, because for the first time, the Dominion was losing. Fear, because humanity's vengeance was unstoppable. For the first time in history, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting without the Dominion. "We must stop this," a Xelthian ambassador whispered. "How?" A Ralvic general replied. "We could never stop the Dominion. And now, we cannot stop Earth." There was silence, because they knew the truth. Humanity was not conquering. They were not demanding power, wealth, or resources. They wanted only one thing: justice, and they would burn the galaxy to get it. The Dominion's last stand. In the Dominion's core worlds, fear spread like wildfire. The High Commander was silent. His forces were crippled. His fleets were in ruins. His empire was dying. But still, he refused to surrender. "If we are to fall," he growled, "we take them with us." And with that, he activated Project Obsidian, a final, desperate plan, a weapon meant to erase entire planets. And the target? Earth. The Dominion was collapsing. Their fleets were destroyed, their worlds falling, their armies scattered. But they had one last card to play, a weapon so powerful, so destructive, that it had never been used before, a weapon designed to end entire civilizations. They called it Project Obsidian, and they aimed it at Earth, the deadliest weapon in the galaxy. Deep beneath the Dominion capital, hidden under layers of security, the Obsidian core hummed to life. A planet killer, a device that didn't just destroy worlds, it erased them. Every molecule, every atom, reduced to nothingness. The High Commander stood before his remaining generals, his face twisted in fury. "They have burned our empire," he snarled. "Now we burn theirs." His hand hovered over the activation panel. One command, and Earth would be gone. One command, and then the lights flickered. The screens glitched, and the alarms screamed. Humanity strikes first. Dominion officers panicked. Security systems locked down. Then, human voices echoed through their own communication systems. "We know what you're trying to do. We won't let it happen." A single EMP blast shut down every Dominion defense grid, every shield, every countermeasure. Then, humanity's elite strike force arrived. The Reapers, a team of only 12 soldiers, against thousands of Dominion guards. It didn't matter. The lights went out. The screams began. And when the lights came back, only the humans remained. The High Commander lay at their feet, bleeding, defeated. And the weapon? Disabled. Forever. The final message. Across the galaxy, the Dominion's defeat was broadcast to every world. Every species they had enslaved, every empire that had feared them, witnessed their fall. Humanity sent one final message. This war is over. The Dominion is no more. The galaxy held its breath. Because for the first time in history, the true rulers of the stars had changed. Not through conquest, not through fear, but through justice. The war was over. The Dominion was broken. Its fleets lay in ruins, its worlds were silent, and its leaders were dead or captured. For the first time in centuries, their empire was no more. But humanity was not here to rule. They had come for justice. And now, justice had been served. A galaxy without the Dominion. Across the stars, species that had once lived under the Dominion's iron fist watched in stunned silence. Some had expected humanity to take the throne, to replace the Dominion as the new supreme power. But Earth's fleets did not conquer. They did not seize control. Instead, they left. One by one, their warships turned and returned home. No demands, no rulers, no empire, only a single message left behind on every liberated world. You are free. Do not make the same mistakes. The fear of the unknown. With the Dominion gone, the galaxy was in chaos. Power struggles erupted. Old rivalries resurfaced. Some leaders feared that without the Dominion, the galaxy would fall into endless war. Others feared something far worse. What if humanity changed its mind? What if one day they decided that the galaxy wasn't ready for peace? That justice needed to be enforced again. For now, Earth was silent. But the stars would never forget what they had done, and no one dared to cross them again. The war had ended. The Dominion was no more. But the echoes of its destruction rippled across the galaxy. Where once there was a supreme ruler, now there was uncertainty. Where once there was fear, now there was a question. What happens next? A galaxy changed forever. The species that had suffered under the Dominion's rule stood at a crossroads. Some sought to rebuild, to form alliances, to ensure that such tyranny never rose again. Others scrambled for power, hoping to seize the Dominion's lost throne. But there was one truth no one dared forget. Humanity still watched. Their fleets had returned home. Their war machines had powered down. But everyone knew, if another empire tried to oppress, enslave, or conquer, humanity would return. And next time, they would not stop. The final warning. On the ruins of the Dominion capital, a message was engraved into the very ground. It was simple, it was clear, and it was terrifying. Never again. The galaxy had seen what happened when humanity was provoked, and no one would ever make that mistake again. The legend of Earth. For centuries to come, stories of the war would be told. Some called Earth the saviors of the galaxy. Others called them its greatest threat. But one thing was certain. Humanity had changed everything. And the universe would never be the same again. The end. The Dominion was gone. The war was over. But the galaxy was not at peace. Without a ruler, the stars became restless. Former Dominion generals tried to carve out their own territories. Warlords rose from the ruins, hungry for power. New conflicts brewed in the void. And through it all, one question haunted every species. Would humanity return? The Council's secret meeting. In the heart of the Galactic Council, the most powerful leaders gathered in secret. "We must prepare," whispered a Celthian diplomat. "The humans are too dangerous. We must ensure they never strike again." An Uldari warlord slammed his fist on the table. "Or we ensure that, if they do, we are ready." A silence followed. They all feared the same thing. Earth had not claimed a single planet. Not one. They had destroyed an empire, and then simply left. But why? Were they waiting? Watching? Would they one day decide the galaxy needed more justice? No one knew, and that terrified them. Earth's choice. Back on Earth, humanity did not celebrate victory. There were no parades, no songs, no monuments of war, only a quiet understanding. They had done what was necessary. Now, they would return to their world, their home. But the galaxy had changed, and humanity knew that one day it might call them again. Until then, they would wait. Not as conquerors, not as rulers, but as a shadow in the dark, a warning to all who would dare repeat history. Because now, the galaxy knew the truth. If evil rose again, humanity would return. And next time, they would not be merciful. The end.